Release issued by the team, GM John Horst, that they were thrilled that Turner chose their team and the city. He called Turner a winner and a dynamic player who fits the organization on both ends of the court. Other announcements from the club included the re-signing of forward Bobby Portis and the trade of Pat Connaughton to Charlotte. Turner to the Brewers. They're opening up a series against the Dodgers tonight at American Family Field. They are doing so with Freddie Peralta on the mound. He's been the rock of a beat-up starting pitching staff for the Crew this year, and it earned him his second trip to the All-Star game. Cameras in clubhouse in Miami yesterday caught manager Pat Murphy telling the team about Peralta's achievement.
This year in particular, every reason to have divided attention, every reason to wonder whether he was going to be traded, every reason to wonder about what about this. He just went out and every single time, consistent, compete. Something didn't go his way, he jumped back on it and competed right after that. So without further, no surprise, 2025 All-Star. Freddie Peralta.
After tonight, just 5 games left until the All-Star break.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Wisconsin State Fair. As a thank you for your support, they're giving away State Fair tickets. Visit ruralmutual.com/win and enter to win State Fair tickets.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, we're just 16 days out from the start of training camp for the Packers. Team's going to hold its first practice July 23rd. The rookie's actually just 11 days out from reporting to camp. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, no one could have expected 6 innings of 2-hit ball or whatever it was. I mean, he was sensational. Any worries anybody had about this guy being able to pitch in his future, whatever. I mean, wow, he was right on it. Location, stuff, everything was, yeah. It just tells you a lot about who the guy is. And I couldn't be happier for him and his family, what it means for the future. I mean, that's just special.
A little bit from both Pat Murphy yesterday after the game and a little bit from Brandon Woodruff as well. That's where I want to begin. I think the biggest story of the weekend. Brewers fought to take 2 or 3 from the Marlins, who've been playing very well. Overall going 500 last week. Between the Mets and the Marlins, not bad. I'll take it. It's a little frustrating, that Mets series, because they won the opener. And anytime you win the first game of the series and then go on to lose 2 or 3, it's a little frustrating. And the bats have gone quieter. I don't know that they were ever really loud in this series. Certainly not yesterday, but they didn't need to be that loud yesterday because Brandon Woodruff was excellent. His first time on a major league mound in 600 some days. I can't remember the number. So that's where I want to begin tonight. We'll talk Brewers throughout the show. I want to ask you at about 35, 40 minutes. I think the Brewers might actually be underrated by Brewers fans, which seems kind of nuts because we watch them every day. And if anyone would have a good understanding of this team and the level that they're playing at and the talent that they have and the depth in this, we should get it, right? Nobody should have a better, clearer picture and understanding of the Brewers than Brewers fans. But I think the roller coaster that the season's kind of been on really from opening day, with injuries in the starting rotation, bats that couldn't find it, really poor performance from guys like Joey Ortiz and Christian Yelich and others early. Some of those things have started to change. Like, this has just been a very odd season. And yet the Brewers are, one of 6 or 7 or 8 teams in Major League Baseball who have 50 or more wins here with 2 series remaining before the All-Star break. I think Brewers fans, maybe myself included, we might actually be underrating this Brewers team a little bit. So I want to talk about that in a little while. I have some examples that I want to throw at you as well. I have a piece of audio from the president of basketball ops in Indiana describing what went wrong or what happened to cause Miles Turner to leave for Milwaukee. I find that very interesting. So we'll get to that. And then at the end of the show, about 10 minutes left, 5:50 or so, we'll open up the Monday mailbag. So submit your questions or submit whatever you want. I don't even care anymore. Send me a picture. I don't care. GrantBills21 at gmail.com. But as I said, I want to start with Woodruff yesterday. I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. Because of this job that I have, doesn't really feel like a job. Because of this job that I have, doing the show every day, what I mean, I sometimes watch sports just a little bit differently. And I'm not saying live, I'm smarter. I watch sports on a higher level of that's not what I'm saying. What I say when I watch sports differently is I still love all of our teams a lot and I cheer really hard to see them win. But then sometimes when the game ends, it's like it becomes a little process based, right? It's like, okay, so how are we going to turn that into content? Where some Brewers fans might just celebrate, or in the case of a loss, be really upset. I'm like, okay, that sucks and I'm mad, but also like, what am I going to do about it? Because this is kind of my whole thing tomorrow from 9 to 5. Like, I'm going to have to turn this into 2 hours of content on my show and then, Bill's show in the afternoon. Like, how can we come up with a couple segments to, it's a 4-hour show. It's a lot of time. So, yes, I am a fan and I watch the teams, but also, like, just because of this job, I have to, the wheels have to be spinning. One of my best friends is a fishing guide. I imagine that's very similar, right? Like, even if you love fishing, if your job is to take people fishing, it becomes process based. You just think about it a little bit differently. Your mind goes places and you see things and you go about it a slightly different way. Doesn't mean that, you come to hate fishing, I hope, or like if you work in sports talk radio or, you work as a sports writer, hopefully you don't come to hate sports. I feel like many baseball writers do as they get older. It's, screw this sport. You just learn to be very, very, crusty. That's what the BBWA, the you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I react, I think, a little differently when our teams lose, especially the Packers, because I'm always bummed anytime the Packers lose. I get bummed out. But then I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? Because if I'm totally miserable out of Packers loss, then I got to take it to work with me. And that's where it's like most jobs. It's like, I don't want to bring work home. To me, it's like, how can I not bring home to work? How can I not do it the other way around? If the Packers lose a playoff game, like I'm going to be sad, but if I completely let it consume me, then I'm wallowing in it for 2 or 4 hours a day. I'm rambling. The reason I bring this up is very rarely I will occasionally watch a game and just be like, yep, I enjoyed that. Nothing to add. No notes, no critiques, no bigger picture take, no segment, no deep dive. Just I enjoyed watching that. I had a good time. And that's kind of how I feel about Brandon Woodruff's start yesterday. I enjoyed it. I felt very good watching it. I'm happy for him. No notes. Here's what this means we'll get into that. There will be time for that. Now maybe they could trade Jose Quintana. Man, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. But as of today, July 7th, 4:07 p.m., I'm like, that was pretty great yesterday. I just kind of want to sit with that for 24 hours. I just kind of let me stew on that. Let us enjoy that and celebrate that, at least for a bit, before we talk about, okay, so what is the rotation plus Brandon Woodruff going to look like? And what does that mean for Chad Patrick? Or what does that mean for Nestor Cortez or Jose Quintana? Right? Like, what kind of pitcher can Brandon Woodruff be in this, in this second form now that's gone through a complete, like almost shoulder reconstruction and rehab? Like, we can have those conversations. As of today, my take is that was really cool. Like, I'm really happy for Brandon Woodruff. And so many people, Brewers fans or Brewers media people, have been on the internet, especially on Twitter, which is where I spend most of my time. And they've been hyping this up. 2 more days till Brandon Woodruff. A lot of tweets yesterday morning. Today is Brandon Woodruff Day. Hyping it up, getting excited. And I actually just needed to see him on the mound, I think. Which is the classic Bill Simmons. Like, can I see it? Can I just see? I need to see it before I completely go nuts about this. Because it was 600 some odd days. He had multiple setbacks. It's a massive shoulder injury from which plenty of players don't return, or even I think the majority don't return looking like their old selves. So I was skeptical, and I think I had my hopes kind of guarded. And then I watched him pitch for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's Brandon Woodruff. Okay, I kind of forgot how much I love Brandon Woodruff. And I think a lot of Brewers fans, maybe not all, but some, forgot how much Brandon Woodruff means to them. I think he's right there with Yelich at this point for most Brewers fans. The thing is Woody went away and now he came back. We had a chance to miss Brandon Woodruff. We had a chance to kind of realize, how it felt when he came back. What do they say? Absence or distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? Like missing Brandon Woodruff for the end of 23, all of 24, and then almost the first half of 25. Like, I think at least I yesterday learned the lesson of I kind of forgot how much this guy means to me as a Brewers fan in this era of Brewers baseball specifically, but also I think currently for this franchise, especially after losing Willie Adames and to a lesser or different extent, Bob Uecker too. Like I think Brandon Woodruff is a huge piece of the thing. And if he can, pitch like he did yesterday, holy crap. I think yesterday I realized the meaning of Brandon Woodruff and how important he is to me as a Brewers fan, right? Kind of how many experiences and I don't know, and parts of my fandom are tied to him over the last decade or so. And I feel that way about Yelich. I've said that Yelich to Brewers fans is a little Steph Curry-ish, not in that he's won multiple championships, and although he did win an MVP, he almost won a second. Injury prone, so I guess there's a couple comps, but I guess I think of Steph Curry for Christian Yelich because even if Christian Yelich is having a bad season or a bad month or a bad week, when he gets a hold of one and puts one out of the park, there's still nothing else on this team that can make me feel that way. There's still no other experience. Like Sal Frelick can hit a bomb, Contreras can hit a bomb. Like it's all good, that's all exciting. I enjoy that all, but when Yelich puts one out, it's like, oh, that's something a little different. And I think Woodruff is very similar. I got a feeling yesterday that even watching Freddie pitch well, or even watching Mizorowski, who's young and exciting, we're all gassed up and jacked up for that. It's, it's kind of Brandon Woodruff, 1A, 1B with Christian Yelich. Kind of a similar dynamic to the prodigal son. You know what I mean? Like we always loved the other son. We always loved Yelich. He just never left. He never missed extended time, never missed a full year plus. Woodruff was gone. We thought maybe he'd never pitch again. My son was dead, and now he's come back to life. Was lost and now he's found, that kind of thing. So it's not anti-Yelich. It's not a criticism of Yelich. He's just been here the whole time. I think Yelich and Woodruff, the way I see it or the way I feel about it right now as a Brewers fan, I think are probably the two most important two Brewers fans. And that matters for the clubhouse. That matters for this team. Just losing, like I said, Adames, just losing Uecker, losing Craig Counsell 2 years ago. Although I quite enjoy Pat Murphy, even though I disagree with lots of his management decisions. He gave an absolute stunner of a quote about Joey Ortiz about 15 minutes ago. I'll share that with you after our next break. A couple of notes on Woodruff's actual performance yesterday. When I sat down and I rewatched parts of the game, or I watched the highlights last night, I'm like, oh, that looks like Brandon Woodruff. I know the velocity isn't fully there, but some of those swings and misses, like a fastball up and in, or a cutter on the outside corner like that. It looks like we just turned on a game from 2022 or 2023. That looks like Brandon Woodruff. If you're watching on the simulcast, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, I'll throw it up. The command was outstanding. Playing the pitches in and around the zone where he's supposed to be. For the most part, avoiding kind of the hottest spots of the zone. Very comfortable pitching inside on right-handed hitters. Very comfortable using that changeup down and away from right-handed hitters. Right, working up in the zone or working down and away with the slider away from lefties. Jack Stern had a really good write-up on this at Brew Crew, or not Brew Crew, Brewer Fanatic, not Brew Crew Fanatic, Brewer Fanatic. So follow Jack Stern, read Jack Stern. I'm stealing just a little bit from what he shared. Woodruff is complementing those offerings differently. Let me back up a sentence here. A higher arm slot has slashed a couple of inches of arm side movement from each of his two main fastballs, but those pre-existing staples of his arsenal otherwise have largely the same shape. Woodruff is complementing those offerings differently, though, with the new cutter and sweeping slider he first teased back in spring training. Notice how the movement plot on the right is more balanced than the one on the left. We're talking about old versus new. Woodruff can still pitch hitters north and south with this four-seamer and curveball, as he's always done, but now he features more shapes for working east-west, which he did many of his most impressive sequences on Sunday. After using a diet steady of four-seamers the first time through the order, Woody masterfully mixed his new cutter and two-seamer to work both sides of the plate. If you read Jack's story about that, you get a lot of pitch sequences, like here's how he got ahead in the count with these pitches, and then he kind of put the guy away using this pitch. There's another statistic that I learned about, again, thanks to Jack Stern. I guess there's a statistic called location plus. I knew about stuff plus. I knew about some of these metrics. I'd never heard of location plus. The Sabermetrics library at Fangraphs, which is where the stat says. Location plus is a count and pitch type adjusted judge of a pitcher's ability to put pitches in the right place. No velocity, movement, or any other physical characteristics are included in the stat. It's just location, and as Jack Stern shared yesterday, his location plus was the best of any pitcher who threw across the major leagues yesterday. And it was the best by a wide margin. It was better than Wheeler and Skeens. It was better than Matt Boyd, who went for the Cubs, or old friend, former Brewer Drew Rasmussen. He was dialed yesterday. And I can't imagine that that'll be the case every single start this year. Hopefully, I mean, that'd be great. But I think in this long rehab process and probably long hours put in with the Brewers pitching development staff and with their front office people deciding, okay, well, we're going to lose a little velocity. Although he did touch 95, I think 3 or 4 times yesterday, so he could reach back and get it when he wanted to. I think he paced himself a little bit right from the jump. Wildly efficient outing to boot, by the way. Like, I thought he'd go 3 or 4 innings. You'd be like, okay, he's back. Like, you knocked the rust off. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 0 walks, 8 strikeouts, 70 pitches through 6 innings, 53 of them strikes. Efficient as balls. Like, you'll take that. I think he's learned how to work his pitches off of each other, work his pitches against each other, right? To, again, north, south, east, west. Certain pitches going up and down, other pitchers going left, right, playing those off each other against a righty or a lefty, or, count dependent or situation dependent, matchup dependent, all those things. I think Woodruff is maybe not as good of a thrower. He might just be, in some ways, a better pitcher coming back after missing 600 plus days. Now we'll see how his body reacts to that first start and getting back in the routine. But I did not expect that yesterday. I had pretty low expectations, high hopes, but low expectations. And I think I've talked about that. Like, I remember a month or two ago, Brewers fans saying, well, Woodruff will be back. Woodruff will be back. Woodruff will be back. And I'm like, hey guys, like, let's look at what Logan Henderson has done in his starts, or let's look at Chad Patrick, a month or so ago before Chad Patrick kind of started to struggle. Like, these guys routinely are going 6 innings, 1 or 2 earned runs, good amount of strikeouts, not a lot of walks. If Woodruff just matches what they already have, like, that's a version of Woodruff I'll take. I didn't think he had a performance like yesterday in him. Now the Marlins are a below average lineup, but they've been hitting the ball really well. At least they did the first 2 games of the series. They've been playing well. It's not just about who you play. It's about when you play them. And Woodruff gave them the exact type of outing and performance they needed yesterday. The offense was not white hot. They needed to win the rubber match against a team that had kind of kept him down through 2 games. And he did exactly that. And still, after missing 600 some days, after watching yesterday, I'm like, yeah, I still think I'd give that guy the ball in a do or die situation. Now, we're not doing the topic, like, if they had a 1-game wild card tomorrow, who would you, that's not what I'm saying, but, like, I'll trust that guy with the ball anytime. I don't care how much time he missed. I don't care if he lost, 2 or 3 miles per hour of velocity. It's just a guy that, like, I'll trust him to take the mound and to take the ball every 4 or 5 days and in every big game possible. I'll take your calls on the Brewers, on Brandon Woodruff and what you saw yesterday. I also have a hilarious Pat Murphy quote. Well, maybe hilarious is the wrong word. Kind of a jarring Pat Murphy quote from his pregame availability about 25 minutes ago. I'll share that with you next, and your phone calls at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
You just think of all the doubts creeping in, right, Al?
Wouldn't he? Yeah.
I mean,
Within
thinking of,
Yep.
and
You can run
thinking of the first start back. That in your mind goes over and over and over again.
Power fastball.
But here's the reason why I think it's a little less. If they do a proper rehab assignment, which they do, you get a guy who hasn't pitched in 2 years.
Look at that paint, 93 in.
What you look for here is pitchability, and I don't care that his velocity was down a couple ticks. He has it. I mean, his changeup still
Oh.
good at that two-seam sinker
See
run
that?
backer.
And he said, Norby, this was when he was like, you have to have moments, I'm sure, Al. I know as a position player, I was coming back from ACL surgery. There's moments where you make a play and you're like, oh, I'm back. Like, I'm not worried about it. He said when he threw that last pitch to Norby, he's like, that thing came out clean.
He's living 93, 94, and then he can save it for 95, 96.
And he's added a couple new weapons.
A little bit from MLB Central earlier today. Mark DeRosa and the crew was talking about Brandon Woodruff and some adjustments, some additions, and subtractions that he's made to his arsenal and his pitch mix, and shared a little bit with you about that in the first segment. It's not really my wheelhouse. Read Jack Stern, read The Smart People. They'll lay it out for you. Spencer Michaelis, listen to their podcast. It is excellent. I'll take your calls and your texts on the Brewers at 608-321-1670. The live stream up and running on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Coach Freed, I'll address this before we get to a Pat Murphy comment. Says, hey, Grant, first time, long time. Will there be a WEAC football preview in the future? Well, yeah, Dale's just sitting around on his can this summer. He wanted some time off this spring to go to Japan. So I said, oh, okay, go nuts. I don't know that there's a huge demand for WEAC baseball coverage as it is. So I said, we'll circle back when football comes. So I would assume that by this point in the summer, he's kind of rounding up his sources and talking to his people and getting ready to go to training camps and such. Dale Jorgensen, the Nakusa Register, our WEAC correspondent, he'll be back at some point this summer. Probably late this month or early in August. He'll put something together, have some features that'll run on the show. Thank you, Coach Freed, for the comment. Another text from segment number 1, self-admitted, possibly an overreaction here, said, do the Brewers now have the best rotation in baseball? It would be hard. Look, it would be hard to have a better rotation than this unless you have, I don't know who the best pitchers in baseball are. If you were to add Paul Skeens and, Zach Wheeler and stuff. Yeah. But for an organization like the Brewers, they have 5 guys and then 3 other ones. I was listening to Microbrew this morning, and Kurt and JR, I think Kurt made the point that if you were to give the Brewers AAA system to Tampa or to Cleveland or to one of these other smart teams that actually knows what they're doing with pitchers, that's an average major league pitching staff just sitting down there for a team that knows what to do with it. And the Brewers are one of the teams that knows what to do with it. They have a real good, remember Aaron Savali, serviceable starter. Tobias Myers was a serviceable starter. And they're like, yeah, you can't cut the mustard anymore. They got to figure out what to do with Nestor Cortez. I have a feeling that maybe Quintana is the odd man looking out. I feel like they might prefer Cortez. I have no idea. I don't really like either of them, to be honest. I think I'd take Logan Henderson over either one of them. I like the lefty part of Quintana, seasoned vet who's been there, done that. Nestor Cortez kind of pitches like a dick. I just hate watching his. He's like one of those inflatable tube men in front of a car dealership. I'm going to kick my leg and spin just throw the ball. I've never liked him. I've always thought he's a loser, but I have a feeling that the Brewers will prioritize him over Quintana. Would you like to hear a quote from Pat Murphy? Apparently, Joey Ortiz is out of the lineup for the second straight day. And Murphy was asked why. He said, his manager is pissed. I want him to give me his best approach at the plate. More from Murphy. Quote, we've given him a lot, and we play him every day, and we need him. He can't just have mental lapses at the plate like that, so he's got to fight through that. The swing decisions have been the worst they've been, and he's swinging the bat way better. Basically saying, yeah, he's playing better, and we like him, but we've given him a ton of rope, and I need him to not swing like an idiot. And so I started racking my brain. I was like, is he swinging out of the zone? And I remember 2 at-bats from Saturday's game, I think. Yeah. In which he basically just watched strike 1, 2, 3 right down the middle. And again, God bless Jack Stern. This is just the Jack Stern hour on the Wisco Sports Show. Posted both of the at-bats. This is strikeout number 1, bang, 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 right down the pipe. Watched all 3 of them go by. If you're watching on the live stream, you can see this. If not, just trust me. 3 called strikes right down the pipe. This is the point where, like, I don't know what Joey Ortiz is looking for. I hope he finds it at some point. You can go look for it in the dugout. And then his next at bat was much of the same. Like, man, don't just get up there with runners on, afraid to get the bat off your shoulder. Murphy saying, I want better swing decisions. I want more focused. I want to be more locked in up at the plate. And it's so, this quote made me laugh. I tweeted about this at Wisco Grant because I think Kurt would be fine with me sharing this. I got a text from Kurt Hogue earlier, and it was a link to Ken Rosenthal's like foul territory, but I think it's on the Fair Territory Network or whatever. You see if you follow Ken and you follow baseball people, you always see the clips from the show. It's quite good. But Ken Rosenthal was ranting about how Yankees fans are upset with Aaron Boone. The Yankees, by the way, worse record than the Brewers, which we're going to talk about on the other side of this break. So Yankees fans aren't upset, and wouldn't you know it, they're mad at Aaron Boone again. Okay, I don't know enough about Aaron Boone. I don't know enough about the Yankees to tell you whether that's fair or foul. But I saw the clip that Kurt sent me, and Ken Rosenthal, and this is basically like, hey, Yankees fans, you want a manager that holds your guys accountable. Okay, tell me who, because those managers don't exist in the major leagues anymore. Nobody is that. It's all players, managers, former players. Nobody is making a public example out of their player. No one's holding their players accountable. And Kurt sent this to me laughing. He's like, hey, man, the Brewers have a manager who constantly talks about how he wishes he could tase his own players. Like, I don't know about everyone. I don't know about anybody else. I don't know what Alex Cora does. I don't know about Terry Francona. I don't know about Gabe Kapler or Dave Robb. I don't know. But I know because I listen to Pat Murphy pressers and I read the quotes for the pre and post every single night. And we talk about it on the show. That's a manager who holds his guys accountable. He benched Sal Frelick in the middle of the games. He's like, screw this. I'm not dealing with this. He benched Joey Ortiz because he's made, bull roar swing and miss decisions in basically 2 games. In the middle of his best stretch of baseball all season. He's like, no, sit down. I'm not going to let you stink up the ballpark for 2 months if you're not going to extend that back to me, if you're not going to reciprocate that by going up there and actually making good swing and miss decisions. And this is on the same day. I got to see a clip from Ken Rosenthal. Like, yeah, managers don't really hold their players accountable anymore. Okay, I guess except the one. So I saw that clip earlier. Kurt sent it to me. He's like, yeah, the Brewers guy, he talks about how he tases players. I think Ken needs to watch and listen to a little bit of Pat Murphy. It's just incredible timing because it was front of mind. I was watching a clip earlier today about Ken Rosenthal talking about, accountability and managers who, are probably more so than ever player-oriented. They're player managers because a lot of them are former players. And then you have Pat Murphy like, yeah, I would have tased him over that. It's like, Jesus, man. I think Rosenthal needs to visit Milwaukee. Chris in Chippewa, Texan, says watching what he pitched last night made me think, oh yeah, that's what an ace looks like. So I don't know about that. I don't know that this staff has an ace. I will say, Chris, I thought something similar to that. I thought, oh my God, that's Brandon Woodruff of 2 years ago. His velocity's down a little bit different, but he elicited a lot of the same swings and misses. He still looks over the glove, over the mouth, squares his back to the camera, to the viewer. Like, it's still, that's Brandon Woodruff. And even though he wasn't throwing 97, 98, like that fastball up and into a righty still is overbearing, still got swings and misses yesterday, right? Was able to hit cutters on on the outer edge of the plate to righties, changeups down and away to righties after working inside with the fastball. That's just it. Brandon Woodruff's fastball has always been talked about as heavy. It's just weighty. It bears down on you. Maybe it doesn't have the most movement, but it's heavy and guys can't get their hands around on it. And it looked the same. It looked the exact same yesterday. A little slower, some different pitches mixed in. But again, if you just watched a couple of innings with no idea of what's happened the last 2 years, you'd be like, oh yeah, Brandon Woodruff's going today. Oh, I love Brandon Woodruff. He's always been great. Like you wouldn't have known. He's coming back from something. He looked the same. Now, hopefully he remains confident, and I don't think he's going to look like that every single start for the rest of the season. But hopefully he continues to settle in and feel like he's continuing his major league career rather than just like proving that I did it. I came back. Hopefully this is just the beginning of a long chapter for Woodruff and not just, a celebration of 2 hard years of rehab and then that's it. I hope that's not how this goes for him. We'll continue to talk Brewers on the other side of this break. Are the Brewers underrated? Not by the national media or by the power rankings. I don't care about that. By Brewers fans. I think we're underrating this team. I'll give you some examples, and we can talk through this on the other side. More of your calls as well. 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Well, I think anytime somebody's having a big moment, whether it's a big moment on the mound or a guy making their debut, you feel that energy. You know, it spills over off of that person. Maybe it's a nervous energy, maybe it's anxiety, whatever it is. But everybody in that clubhouse can feel it. You know, if you're playing in the outfield or if you're sitting in the bullpen, you just know it's a special moment in one of your teammates' lives, and you're sharing in that. And there's energy when that happens. So, yeah, I could feel it. And I was stuck in the studio in Brookfield, right? Watching Brandon Woodruff take the mound, a guy that, we were teammates for several years coming up the minor leagues. And just the fact that I know him, know what he's gone through, and then what it takes to be, a pitcher. When you're starting a game, it's just such a big deal, and you have emotions, even if you've just been completely healthy and you're starting in like A ball, right? Like you just get these nerves when you're the guy leading the team on the field. But what an amazing moment for him.
That's Tim Dillard, 11 o'clock on the Bill Michaels show earlier today, if you want to go back and get that interview. And the prompt or the question or the idea that he's responding to and expanding on there is between Woodruff's outing yesterday, his return, Christian Yelich's grand slam in the 10th inning, I think against the Red Sox a couple weeks ago, was another play that Bill was referencing. It's like you start to, as the season progresses, bookmark these moments and bookmark these things that have happened that are memorable, that give the team a jolt. And if this team does coalesce, I think coalesce is the right word. If this team starts to come together and really turn into something down the stretch, and it's like, okay, there's something there with this team. Right now, I'm pretty darn sure they have the pieces. I don't know what the final product is going to be, but if this team starts trending towards something that seems like it could be an impressive finished product that could do something, I think these are the types of moments that you look back at, right? That was Bill's opening take today, which I really agree with. I think those are two of the moments from the last couple of weeks that have gone a long way in empowering this team and keeping this team kind of locked in and juiced up. That Yelich grand slam, the walk-off against Boston, and then Woodruff coming back yesterday, Mizorowski's debut and his recent performance, that outing against the Mets notwithstanding, that was another one that Bill referenced. I like that. I like that. Over 162-game season, or this is true of the NBA too, an 82-game season. You need those moments that are a shot in the arm every couple of weeks, something new, something to be excited about. And I think we started to build a nice little library of those moments with the Brewers here in 2025 so far. 608-321-1670 is the number to text and call, and you can comment on the live stream as well. Something that I wanted to ask you, and we kind of kicked this around on Bill's show earlier today. I think that many Brewers fans, myself included, may actually be underrating this Brewers team. I'm not here to tell you that they're on the precipice of a World Series. I saw Jeff Passan, I think on with Wilde and Tausch, which is ESPN Milwaukee or ESPN Madison or wherever you listen. And Jeff Passan earlier today was like, yeah, I think this team's they're like a player away from being a World Series contender. And I'm like, well, I more feel like they're a player or two away from being a player or two away. Now, the thing is, and this is what's tough about being a Brewers fan and following this team and trying to stay sane, there's so many things that they do so well. The way they've developed and acquired pitching, the way they preach defense and develop fundamentals. Like, I bring this up all the time, but I listen to Felger and Maz just about every day because I drive a lot. and it's Boston. They talk about the Red Sox, and you wouldn't believe how beside themselves some of those fans are with they can't feel the ground, or they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They know that I'm supposed to swing big and hard and try to hit home runs, and that's it. And the Brewers, well, maybe they don't have a ton of those guys. I think this team, between base running and defense and finding little edges here and there, on top of developing pitching, and that excellence is showed through this year, starting and relief pitching, right? What they build and what they do is really impressive. The problem is like, oh, okay, here's Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. Good luck. It's like, okay. So that's something we need to balance, like giving the Brewers credit and giving them their due for what they're doing and what they're building on a reduced payroll even this year, while also realizing, like, at the end of the day, there are other bigger, badder fish in the ocean. But I think we have maybe underrated how good this team is, because they got off to such a awful start, and Caleb Durbin and Joey Ortiz were so awful early, and we were watching guys like Elvin Rodriguez, I believe is who I watched during the home opener, and that team just seemed like they didn't want to be there, right? Contreras is hurt. What a nightmare. Nothing was going well. And then they turned it around, and all of a sudden they got the best record in baseball over the span of like the month of June, or, a 30-day stretch. I think it was the month of June. And then they hit 50 wins yesterday. It's like, wait a minute. Is this not the crappy team that I saw 2 months ago that's just figured a couple things out? Like, is this team actually might be pretty good? They're one of 8 teams with 50-plus wins. This is the company they're keeping. The Detroit Tigers, who have had the best record in baseball pretty much wire to wire so far, the Houston Astros, and the Toronto Blue Jays. Nobody else in the AL. There's 3 teams in the AL with 50-plus wins. Now, the AL is down, but the Yankees are at 49, the Rays are at 49, the Mariners 48. The National League, there's a couple more. National League's deeper and better. But again, we're talking about 50-win ball clubs. The Dodgers, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Mets. And that's it. That's the company that the Brewers are keeping. I think there's a clear line of demarcation between the Brewers and the 3 teams beneath them vying for that wild card spot, the Padres, the Giants, the Cardinals. If the Brewers can continue to play at a level this season that keeps them above that kind of tangled ball of so-so teams, they're going to contend probably for that last wild card spot. Like, if the Brewers can keep a clear line of demarcation between themselves and the Padres, the Giants, the Cardinals, like, that'll play. I think you get to 90 wins and you're in the postseason. You might be a wild card team because the Cubs might win 93 or 94, but there's nothing you can do about that. Win the games that are in front of you. I think the Brewers now at 50 wins, they're on pace for 90 if their pace holds up. That'll play, and is significantly better than some of their preseason projections, and significantly better certainly than I thought after watching them for the first week of the season, because they looked just unbelievably bad and unlikable and lethargic and no pop and no excitement. It just is bad. All of a sudden, the Brewers are on pace for 90 wins. They have their 50th win on July 6th. The Brewers' record, get a load of this, their record against teams above 500. If you're like, well, yeah, they've been winning more games, the Rockies and the Pirates, and, that'll take care of itself. The Brewers are 25-22 against teams 500 or better. For reference, the Cubs are 25-27. And I don't say that to be like, oh, Brewers better than the Cubs. Brewers greater than Cubs. No, I think the Cubs are excellent. But it's not like the Brewers have made their hay against the crappy teams and the Cubs are beating up on the juggernaut. They're quite similar with a couple of difference, a difference of a couple games in the balance, because the Cubs have played a couple fewer games against teams above 500. But the Brewers are 3 games better against those types of clubs than the Cubs are. Again, that's not really to put down the Cubs. That's just to show that the Brewers haven't just been feasting against horrible teams, although they made hay last week. No one's going to hold that against you. You play who's on your schedule, and you need to stack wins when you're playing against bad teams. But it's not like the Brewers are only in the spot that they're in because of their crappy schedule. They've held serve and performed pretty well against teams above 500, especially related, or compared or contrasted to their peers, like the Cubs. Another thing that I think maybe has us underrating the Brewers in 2025, and I heard Dom Catronio bring this up on Brewer Extra Innings last night on TMJ. Jackson Chourio just had a very nice weekend series, provided all the offense that was needed, or just provided all the offense, period, yesterday. Luckily, it was enough against the Marlins. And yet, I think if you were to ask most Brewers fans, what kind of season do you think Jackson Chourio is having? Like, what do you think about Chourio's season so far? Through 90 games. They're 50 and 40, I believe, as of today, right? Yeah, 50 and 40. Through 90 games, what do you think about Jackson Chourio's season? I think most Brewers fans would tell you, good. He's been good. He's been solid. He's been all right. Good stretches, bad stretches. I don't think anybody's going to tell you he's been a revelation. He's been unbelievable. He's been great. I think most Brewers fans, and I threw this at Bill. I was like, Bill, if I asked you, what kind of season do you think Jackson Chourio's having? What would you say? And he said, I'd say good, not great. I think that would be the evaluation you'd get from most Brewers fans. Dom mentioned this last night on the post game, and I looked it up just because I was curious. He's top 10 in all of baseball in extra base hits. He's 21, which I remember him being very young last year. I'm well aware that he's young, but I feel compelled to continue to share that he's 21, not necessarily to temper expectations or to lower the bar, but like I remember when I was 21. That's a child. A 21-year-old is a child. That kid shouldn't be a professional of anything. That kid, 21, he's top 10 in extra base hits in not just the National League, but in all Major League Baseball. I'd like a little bit more, like another homer here or there, just because the team needs it. But he's hitting in the middle of a 90 pace win team. Top 10 in extra base hits at age 21 and giving them the doubles, the triples, the runs batted in that they need. And I think we're underrating that a little bit. There's another player, too, that I think we're underrating, but I want to take a call. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is Philip in Eau Claire.
What's going on, Philip?
Philip is asking about Grant Bills. Philip failing over when he used to be just a long ball want-to-be guy for the Brewers, and now he's talking about small ball.
Me?
Yep.
Well, am I? I feel like I'm the guy who says that I like the small. I mean, Philip, the small ball's fun. It's engaging television. But
that
this team,
was not what you said earlier this year.
When
you
did
just wanted to see him hit long balls.
Well, they do need to hit more long balls.
Are you sure?
I think
now you're talking. They move them along.
Well, they do.
And yeah, sure.
But I mean, how did they get two of their runs yesterday? Jackson Chourio 2-run home. You need both, Philip. I've been saying this for like a year. I'm glad that Philip, nobody wants to watch the team that's home run or bust. That's not entertaining. So the dream is you get this version of the Brewers, which is fun. And they move runners and they do all those things, but that's not going to get you to the ultimate goal. You need pop and power too, which is what we're talking about with Chourio.
Correct. But you earlier in the year in your program months ago were asking for the Brewers to get more long ball, and I think they can win with good pitching and move because they got the speed.
Yeah. Well, look, Philip, I appreciate the call. They could probably win 90 games doing what they're doing because their pitching probably stands to only get better. They're getting more guys back, or if they want to trade away some of that pitching depth to go get a bat to help, they can do that as well. Maybe they win 88, 89 games. Maybe they win 90, 91. Yeah, they can do that with the pitching and the team that they have. You're going to have a real hard time advancing in the postseason without some timely home runs. They should have beaten the Mets last year. Why? Because Sal Frelick and Jake Bauers timed up two balls and hit them out of the park. Now, they did not win because Devin Williams forgot how to close a game and tipped his pitches in the biggest moment of his life and the biggest Brewer game in many of our lives. So that's secondary. I like the small ball. It's entertaining. You cannot reach heaven only through small ball, but it's certainly more fun. And if I have to watch a team that's a little bit too home run heavy or a little bit too small ball heavy, well, I'll take this. It's a more entertaining product. It's better theater. It's better television. But it can't just be this. And Philip, I think I've been pretty clear about that. But I hope that cleared up kind of my stance on small ball versus long ball. You need both. Put it very simply. And it's most entertaining when you get both. Chicks dig the long ball, Philip. I do too. I'm not a chick, but I dig it too. It just can't be the end all be all. Just like small ball. Like you can't bunt and advance your runners to 95 wins and a postseason win. Maybe you do it to 90 wins. This team is probably going to do it again. This team has a tendency of doing things that we're all convinced that they can't do. Just read Bob Nightingale or Ken Rosenthal. They've highlighted that pretty well, especially Bob over the last few weeks. 608-321-1670. A little Bucks tidbit when we come back real quick. We'll hit that before we wrap up hour number 1 and the Monday mailbag in 1 hour. Submit your questions and comments. And I don't even care anymore. Send me whatever you want. GrantBills21@gmail.com.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Herb Simon and Stephen Rails and the Simon family were fully prepared to go deep into the tax to keep him. And we really wanted to do that. And we were negotiating in good faith. But what happens in this league is sometimes you're negotiating, but because a guy is unrestricted, he has the right to say, that's the offer I want, I'm going to take it, and that's best for my family. And again, we were in good faith negotiations. It was a little surprising that, how Milwaukee created that. I don't know if, we always say in our conference room, there's cap teams that have cap space, and there's shadow teams that have cap space. You can go get, but it becomes very challenging by buying out or making trades, and hat tip to Milwaukee to do that. So I think the most important thing is we were deep in conversations with Miles, and then we saw that that he'd accepted an offer with Milwaukee. And again, that's part of this business that is challenging. I can tell you this also, that there are two kind of things that I believe that is kind of fundamental to the league right now, and that is change is inevitable and expect the unexpected. And I can't tell you that, we were fully expected for that.
So that's about 90 seconds of Kevin Pritchard. He's the president of basketball operations for the Pacers. So if you were curious as to why or as to how Miles Turner became available, there you go. The most interesting part of that soundbite to me, and I think at the very least, something to remember and something to put in the back of your mind. We're going to get back to Brewers talk in hour number 2, and I'll get back to taking your phone calls. But I wanted to play this because the very, very end of his comment, he said, change is inevitable and expect the unexpected. Let me play that part one more time, just drive it home.
Kind of fundamental to the league right now, and that is change is inevitable and expect the unexpected. And I can't tell you that, we were fully expected for that.
So I talked a little bit about this with Justin Garcia when he was on. And I heard Bill Simmons bring this up. I had a lot of driving yesterday because I was up north with my family. Not up north, northerly direction. They do not live up north. They live about an hour 20 south of Highway 8. So let's just put your phone down if you're going to text in on that one. But I was listening to Bill Simmons, and he was talking about, like, do you know the last player that was stretched for, however much money and this? And I think you're missing the boat if you're looking at the Bucks' decision to stretch or waive and stretch Damian Lillard and say, well, that never happens. What a dramatic, drastic gesture. That's a tool or that's a choice that we never see teams implement. Wow. If that's your reaction or that's your takeaway, I think you're missing the boat. This CBA, this collective bargaining agreement, is so drastic for teams on the upper levels of spending. You hear people talk about the second apron, right? When you reach a certain level of salary, not only are the taxes just outrageous, but the basketball penalties are real. You can't aggregate salaries in a trade. Your picks become locked, right? You don't have these exceptions available at the taxpayer mid-level and those sorts of things, right? You're kind of playing with one hand tied behind your back. And I think as we move forward under these restrictions and we see Boston, who's a year removed from a title, stripping it down. Indiana, I know they say they were we wanted to pay the tax for Miles Turner. Okay, well, maybe you should have been a little bit more open and upfront about that. Like, maybe you were eventually willing to pay the tax, but you didn't want to right away. And Miles Turner said, okay, well, screw you guys. The Bucks will pay me this right now. I'm going. Right? We see that happen a lot with negotiations. I think that's basically what happened with Devontae Adams. As we move forward, operating in this environment where teams have to be more drastic, and I talked about this with Justin, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens more often. Probably not to this degree, like $20 million a year for a couple of years, but Dame is 36. He tore his Achilles. The Bucks are in a unique spot. I think moving forward, we're going to see teams be a little bit more drastic, and we're going to look back and, oh, okay, so what the Bucks did with Dame actually isn't that unbelievable. It's just a product of these new rules and new regulations as teams learn how to navigate and figure it out. And you hear the Pacers general manager say that. Change is inevitable. Expect the unexpected. I completely agree. We'll get Zach's update. Get right back to the Brewers in hour number 2.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are back home tonight to open the final homestand before the All-Star break. They'll take on the Dodgers for 3, and then Washington will come in to close things out. Milwaukee coming off a road trip that saw them go 3-3 with a series loss to the Mets and a series win over the Marlins. The final game of the trip featured the return of Brandon Woodruff to the mound for the first time since 2023. He was great, going 6 innings, allowing just a home run and striking out 8. While he was pleased with the performance, he admitted just being out there was a win.
It was kind of strange. I'd be sitting here and the next thing it's like, man, I'm about to throw my first game in 2 years, and just everything you go through in the rehab and think back to, oh my God, just like the worst days. And then it's like, you just want to be able to just pitch in one game. It's just like, you know what, if I just had one game left, that would be that would be cool.
He's going to have a lot more games left after that performance. Meanwhile, tonight, Freddie Peralta will get the ball for the Crew against L.A. He was named to the All-Star game yesterday, his second nod. He's the only Brewer on the National League roster. First pitch tonight is set for 6:40 at American Family Field.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Wisconsin State Fair. As a thank you for your support, they're giving away State Fair tickets. Visit ruralmutual.com/win and enter to win State Fair tickets.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Bucs made it official this morning, announcing the re-signing of forward Bobby Portis. It's reportedly a 3-year, $44 million deal. Portis averaged 13.9 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 2.1 assists last season. And we're getting closer to Packers training camp, now just about 2.5 weeks away. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, no one could have expected 6 innings of 2-hit ball or whatever it was. I mean, he was sensational. Any worries anybody had about this guy being able to pitch in his future, whatever. I mean, wow, he was right on it. Location, stuff, everything was, yeah. It just tells you a lot about who the guy is. And I couldn't be happier for him and his family, what it means for the future. I mean, that's just special.
You can't replicate anything that you want to in the minor leagues to get you ready for the big leagues. You just can't. You need to get in this environment. You need to get back out on that major league mound, and that takes care of everything.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks.
It's a little bit more from Pat Murphy, Brandon Woodruff yesterday. The Wisco Sports Show presented by Road America. Go online, roadamerica.com. Website is beautiful. They have a great events calendar, and you can look at not just the weekend events, like coming up the 17th through the 20th. So that'll be starting a week from Thursday. They have their WeatherTech Vintage Weekend with Brian Redmond. If you like the classic cars, right? That's a perfect thing to do. Or like the weekly events. If you live closer and you just want a reason to, go an hour, maybe take Friday off, go up there on a Thursday night, right? The sunset cruises and the driving schools and those sorts of things. It doesn't have to be like IndyCar weekend once a year, like whenever. You don't have to go for the big ticket events. They have plenty of things, weekly or every other week or something like that. Like, again, the sunset cruises are awesome, and the stunt driving and all these things. Lots of reasons to go up there. And if you're someone who camps, you got an RV or you got a pop-up camper or something like that, I constantly hear how great the accommodations are. So again, roadamerica.com, so you can kind of start to plan your trip. I know that a lot of folks in Wisconsin, we have our things that we do every summer. We go to a Brewer game, maybe take the kids to the Dells. You go to Devil's Lake, right? Add Road America into that rotation. It's America's National Park of Speed. It's a pretty cool place. And for those who are in or listening in La Crosse or Eau Claire or even down here in Madison in our flagship, right? If we're not in the Fox Valley, we don't often think of, well, shoot, let's just go to Road America on Saturday. XYZ's going down, vintage weekend type of thing. But we should think that way. Take advantage of one of Wisconsin's cooler spots, honestly, that I think by lots of folks in some corners of the state goes underappreciated. So roadamerica.com, click their events calendar and give them a call with any questions that you have. 608-321-1670 is the number to call or text the Monday Mailbag in 45 minutes or so. Submit your questions. grantbills21@gmail.com. I posted a question about 20 minutes ago or just a thought experiment. It doesn't have to be yes or no, just something to consider. I think the Brewers are actually being underrated, not nationally. You could always make the case for that. Well, it's small market Milwaukee. Ken Rosenthal doesn't care about us hayseeds living over here in West Dallas, which might be true. Or you could bitch about power rankings. Oh, Brewers 7-3 in their last 10. You're telling me they're 8th in the power rankings. They're beneath the flipping Reds. Stuff like that. Who cares? Of course, they're underrated nationally. Probably. I don't know. Who cares? I'm talking about with us. I think we underrate this team a little bit. I'm not Jeff Passan going on Jason Wilde's show being like, yeah, the Brewers are a player away from a World Series type of team. Like, oh, yeah, okay. Jeff, I would love for that to be true. It's not. They could get hot in the playoff. Like, yeah, but pitching, defense, timely hitting. Like, yeah, that'll get you to 90 wins. They're on pace for 90 wins. That's about where it stops. So again, I'm not telling you they're a World Series team. I think they're slightly underrated. They just hit 50 wins on July 6th. Their record against teams above 500 is better than the Cubs, for example. You can't make the case that they're only succeeding because of a soft schedule. Jackson Cherry, I think most people, fine season, I guess. He's 21. He's already, I think Tyler and Mass commented on the live stream. His betting line before the year for homers was 22.5. He's at 15. He's top 10 in the majors in extra base hits, and he's hitting as the feature player right now in a major league lineup on a 90-plus win pace team. Caleb Durbin, who started the year miserably, is now leading the NL Central among his fellow third basemen in WAR, which kind of makes me laugh. I don't know that it's a stacked division. Like Matt Shaw is basically defense. Ke'Bryan Hayes, and for the most part, he's on equal footing with Ke'Bryan Hayes and Nolan Arenado, but I'll take it because I didn't think that was possible a month ago. Since May 19th through 39 games, he's slashing 313, 391, 443, and an OPS of 834, which is better than players who are supposed to have good OPSs, Contreras and Hoskins, of course, being the other one. He's at 7 defensive runs saved at third base, which is second best in the NL. He's been good. And I think most of us, part of this problem, definitely. Like, oh, yeah, short kid. I guess he hangs okay. Like, no, he's actually been quite good. Right? I think we're underrating this team. What exactly that means, who knows? But I think us, the people that have been watching this team closely, I don't know that we've given them enough credit. I'm not rushing to Pato to put money on them to win the World Series. That's not the point of what I'm saying. 608-321-1670. Your calls are welcome. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. It's Darnell.
Hey, Darnell. What's going on?
Hey, did you see that Ortiz isn't in the lineup today? Did you already talk about that at all?
Yeah, and Pat Murphy's quote, I should mention that again, by the way. Darnell, if you will allow me, just for people who haven't seen it. He said of the decision of Ortiz not being in the lineup, he said, yeah, the manager's pissed. We've been giving him a lot of leash this year. I need better decisions from him at the plate. So basically publicly blasting Joey Ortiz, who isn't in the lineup tonight.
And that's because of him striking out several times with the bases loaded over the last couple of days, or
I think so. I mean, yeah, he had 2 awful at bats in Saturday's game, I think, where he just basically watched strike 1, strike 2, strike 3 right down the pipe. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only reason why I get frustrated at stuff like that, and I'm not gonna bitch about a manager actually telling us how it is, right? That's what Murphy does. He doesn't really mince words, right? But is it really that much or at all a better, like, to put Monasterio in there? You know what I mean? Like, every time Monasterio's at the plate, I'm like, all right, well, if this isn't an out, then we rejoice. You know what I mean?
It's about sending a message, Darnell. It's not about who's actually hitting. How does Andrew Monasterio feel about this, by the way? Like, yeah, we're pissed at that guy, so you're just going to take his spot today so we can make a point. Like, that's kind of the role that he's playing.
We're going to give this one up to the Dodgers to prove a point, right?
Yeah. Or, well, we can't play him during Quintana's starts now because Quintana doesn't like him, so I guy we'll throw him out there tonight with Freddie on the mound. God knows it's either going to be home runs or fly balls anyways, so what difference does it make?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's funny to have these conversations as opposed to what are we going to do? We're a lottery team again. You know what I mean? Like, at least we get to do this as Brewers fans instead of whatever the Pirates and Reds have to do every year.
Yeah, we get to have a baseball season. We get to look at the upcoming schedule and say, well, if you can go 6-4 in your next 10, if you can hold serve against the Dodgers, what are the Cubs doing? How should the Brewers deal with Rhys Hoskins' injury? It matters. We're having a baseball season, which 3 months ago did not seem like the case, which is why I think we're kind of underrating this team a little bit. I think we view this team still as this plucky, stupid team that figured out a couple of things when actually their pitching is legit, their defense is legit, and their offense, I think, is better than most say, but most of us complain a lot, so that's not saying much.
But here's the thing, though, Grant. Aren't we kind of the plucky, make our own luck type of team? Like, that hasn't changed, right?
Yeah. Well,
like there's still that team that relies on, small ball baseball a lot and doesn't hit a whole lot of home runs because they really just don't.
Yeah.
They've hit a couple more in June than they did before, but they're not amongst the MLB leaders in power, right?
No.
So it is I like looking at them as a little bit of the underrated underdog thing, just because it makes I think it makes for good stories. And in your case, good content, right? The small ball Brewers beat the Dodgers in 2 out of 3, right? That's best case scenario, I would say, for us here this week. And that, that'll get clicks, right? That'll get people talking about the Brewers, even if they just take 2 out of 3 from the mighty Dodgers.
And as a television product, Darnell, I appreciate the call. Or if you're going to a game, I'd rather watch this. I don't have time to watch a team strike out 10 times but hit 2 solo shots. That's not engaging. That's not interactive. That's not any fun. I like this brand of baseball. Hitting and running the bases and then the throw coming in and you're deciding, can we advance here? Can we, like those things. You just need to have enough power mixed into that. And I think this weekend is an example of when you don't get the timely hits. They left 20 men on base this weekend. They went 7 for 28 with runners in scoring position, and their offense did barely enough to win 2 of 3. So you'll take it. The offense can't be flying high all the time. But now with Contreras' limitations, you don't have that really as a power threat. Ortiz, Durbin, Terang, Frelick, can't lean on any of those guys to be a power threat. Hoskins is now hurt. So in theory, that's a power threat, but not really in practice. This is a team that absolutely needs timely hitting. Or they need Churio and Yelich to get hotter than piss and hit, a couple home runs a week. But when that's not happening, and I think that's going to be most of the time, because you can't rely on both of those guys to be white hot all the time, you need timely hitting. They didn't get it this weekend, but luckily the pitching was good enough, and they hit just enough, and they got a timely home run from Churio yesterday. It was enough to win 2 of 3. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is Louie in Eau Claire.
Louie, I thought earlier when Philip in Eau Claire called in, it sounded like you. It sounded similar. I thought you were pulling my leg, but it's nice to chat with you as well. Busy day up in Eau Claire.
If I'm going to go with a fake name, it's going to be like Ernie in Eau Claire.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever do that, Grant. Not that I
Well, when he said Philip, I'm like, okay, so where's this guy from? And now I can't think of a town up there that starts with a PH or an F. But I do appreciate that part of your calls.
Well, I appreciate you, Grant, taking my call.
Appreciate you appreciating me taking your calls. What's up?
I'm getting a little bit of a kick out of the people on Twitter who are incredulous about Joey Ortiz being taken out of the lineup against the Dodgers, as if Pat Murphy's taking out 2004 Alex Rodriguez or something. Yes, he's definitely better than Andrew Monasterio, but it's not a huge difference. And he's sending a message, like you said. Now he's stuck with Joey all through April and May when he literally could not do anything at the plate. Now he's hit some home runs recently, and that tells me that there's something about his approach, either on the field or off the field, that that Murphy is not appreciating.
Sure.
And he's going to show him that no, even though you've had a modicum of success lately, you have not figured this out. You still have a long way to go. The defense has been good, but the whole notion that the number 8 or 9 hitter being out of the lineup here is going to totally harpoon this series against the Dodgers is kind of funny to me.
It is funny. Look, I'm not mad that he's doing this to Ortiz. I agree with you, Ernie, in that Ernie in Eau Claire. I got alliteration on the brain. I think if Joey Ortiz had been a problem and a stinker in the clubhouse and an issue, then I don't think this happens publicly. I think Murphy's comfort with his guys and the connection with those guys, I assume, is what gives him the flexibility and the freedom to do this. And I imagine that he told Joey Ortiz about this and it's been discussed. And now he's telling reporters exactly what he told Ortiz. I don't think Joey's going to go on Twitter and be like, what the hell? I thought I was benched because you told me Monasterio had good splits against Yamamoto. You told me he plays the Japanese well. Like, no, I think Ortiz is well aware. And I'll be honest with you, what great entertainment value. This show would have been good tonight without this quote, but this is funny. And it's funny that Pat Murphy said, we're working through some, we want Joey Ortiz to be a little bit better with certain swing and miss decisions. He could have said that. Instead, he said, no, he's not in the lineup because the manager's pissed off. Like, okay. Tell us how you feel. Like, just give it to us. Please. I appreciate it. Let's take one more call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Dean, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Dean. How about you?
Well, I definitely play the Japanese well. I know that.
Yeah, like but, what do you think they told Ortiz? They told him this, I'm sure, in no uncertain terms.
No, my wife is Japanese, so I think she'd agree with that comment.
Oh, that'll be right.
But anyways, I was just going to comment I think it was 2 weeks ago, there was a fly ball that Caleb Durbin was on third and Joey Ortiz was on first. And I don't know why I remember this, but it's a ball that Caleb Durbin could have tagged up on, and everybody was going to say, well, that's one of those rookie experiences.
And it was Frelick who hit the fly ball, and Frelick was like, what the hell? Like, you could tell he wanted the RBI. I remember this too. And he came around to score. I think it was on a wild pitch. I was in Costco. I remember exactly where I was.
When he didn't tag up, that's when Joey Ortiz, standing on first base, has the double palms up on first base. You don't wait till you get back to the dugout. You're kind of showing your guy up. And sure, it's a young guy, but I mean, Joey's 2 more years his senior, so it's not like he's some Hall of Famer who is showing the young buck what to do.
Yeah, it's like a sophomore hazing a freshman on the first day of school. Yeah,
but it's like, Joey, if next time this happens, like almost every single time that you're whiffing up there, and again, that was when he was hitting it hard, but getting bad luck, those sorts of things that sort of played out now a little better. But don't expect your guys to not do the same exact thing to you. I mean, I'm sure that Caleb Durbin is not going to stand there and show him up, but maybe a little bit of karma. I don't know if that's the right term, justice, whatever. But for don't show up your own guys when it's public, man. That's rule number one before you're going to be the wily vet here.
Excellent call, Dean. I remember that play. I appreciate it, man. Have a good night. So Durbin was at third, Ortiz was at first, and I think it was Frelick at the plate. And he had a fly ball that was deep enough to score. And then Durbin just didn't go. And I can't remember if it was. It doesn't matter. Why am I struggling to remember details that don't matter? It was one of the radio announcers was like, huh. And I was in Costco. I was buying corn dip. I remember exactly the spot in the aisle where I was listening to this. And Frelick, I went back and I kind of watched some clips, and Frelick was like, what the hell? Because Frelick did his job, elevated that ball. I'm sure he wanted the RBI. The run comes across to score anyways, and I think it was maybe with Churio at the plate. It was a wild pitch Durbin ends up scoring on. So fine, all's well that ends well. I don't remember the Ortiz details. I don't remember palms up or anything like that. By the way, it could have been Jason Lane's problem. Who knows? Do you think Jason Lane said, all right, we're going to tag up here, ready, set, go, and Durbin just ignored? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But I'd forgotten about that play. That's funny. It must have been a Sunday afternoon. Was that the finale against the Twins? I think it was. I think that was Priester's start, wasn't it? I remember I had a haul at Costco that day. Corn dip, man. Ice cream bars. What else did I get? I mean, those are the two. Just a flippin' big old bag of tortilla chips. Because if I had my way, like some people have, subscription services, you can get a box once a month or whatever. And it's like, here's a couple things from your dog. Or I've seen this with fishing too. Instagram tries to force this down my throat. It's like, you get a mystery tackle box once a month. You get a box. Who knows what's in it? Probably nothing you want, but it's a surprise. Isn't that fun? You get these deliveries. My delivery service would be, I would like a small bag of fresh tortilla chips delivered to my porch every day. And I would like more fresh ones tomorrow. I feel wealthiest when I have a surplus of tortilla chips, when I have an amount of tortilla chips that's so large that I can eat to my heart's desire with no concern for running out. That's what I would like. And I remember I was on my way to buy the tortilla chips after getting the corn dip, shot and chaser type of thing. Classic 3-4 hitter of your Costco lineup. And I remember listening to that. I think that was against the Twins. I don't know. Where would Joey Ortiz get off being a problem this year? He's mostly sucked. And he's played every day because they haven't really had another option. And now he starts playing well. Pat Murphy's like, no. This guy needs to swing at the right pitches or he's not going to play. I'll put Andrew Monasterio in there. I swear to God, I'll do it. It's like, okay. He means business. He'll do it. He means business. You got to swing at the right pitches. 608-321-1670, the Wisco Sports Show, presented by Road America. We'll be back in a couple minutes. And submit those questions for the Monday mailbag. Get them in. We need a big one today. It's a slow week. Help me out. GrantBills21@gmail.com.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
It's the Wisco Sports Show, about 25 minutes away from the Monday Mailbag. Submit your questions, grantbills21@gmail.com. Apologies to those on the live stream. I've been doing little tinkering this week. I got a copyright warning from Twitter because, I play actual songs. There's copyright, I'm sure. And on Facebook and YouTube, I don't really care about that. The only way that affects me on YouTube is I can't monetize it, which I'm already not. So I don't care about that. But if Twitter's like, we will suspend your account, it's like, okay, that wait a minute. That would be an issue. We can't have that. So I'm trying to figure out what I have to mute and what I can't mute. So if it sounds like there's things missing on the live stream, it's because there is. I've been working the switcher just a little bit. So my apologies. By the way, G-Dub is up my rear end on the live stream. He's at, what is corn dip? He asked. I know what corn salsa is. It's not salsa. I know what salsa is. I'm not a child. This is different. It's like, I don't know. It's like cheese and corn. Like there's different types of Mexican cheese. The one with the C that I can't pronounce. You need it hot or cold. My Uncle Jerry lives in the Twin Cities. Once told me that he puts it on toast in the morning, and I felt weird about it ever since he told me. It could be the greatest thing in the world. I'm not trying that. Toast in the morning. Be like eating sauerkraut on toast, and that's not what that's for. Q says, Costco Instacart is the move, by the way, free with the executive membership. This has never come up, I believe, during the Monday Mailbag. I would just like to make it very clear that I am against grocery delivery and grocery pickup services. I think you can walk into the grocery store and get what you need. Now, if you're elderly or sure, fine. I also don't make lists. I write down a couple things. I've got a specific recipe, but I think the process of shopping and walking the aisles and saying, okay, now I'm going to go down XYZ aisle and see if I need anything. I can't. Not everything should be delivered. Not everything, because this is how they get us, folks. This is how they charge us more fees. This is how they get us. I'm just anti-delivery. Like, same with Uber Eats. We become lazy and it's costing us money. I sound like Dave Ramsey. You work too freaking hard to give away your money on Instacart. Let's take some more Brewers calls, please. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant Bills. Happy Monday. How we living?
I'm excellent, Vagabond John. I hope your 4th was well.
4th is fantastic, and good. I do have a 4th of July weekend story to ask you a couple of questions about, because I do believe you're an expert. But quickly on the Brewers, I guess my quick question for you is, they're not going to be a favorite. Nobody's claiming they're a World Series favorite.
Correct.
But if Woodruff comes back and is really good, maybe not elite, right, but really good, and if Mizorowski continues to the level of which maybe the top three are almost interchangeable. You have a Peralta, you have Mizorowski, you have Woodruff. They're kind of interchangeable. And then the fourth, we figure it out from there. If they add a major hitter at the deadline, let's just live in a fun world for a second.
Okay.
What would they then be missing to have a shot to make a playoff run?
Other really good hitters, like other good players, just in general. You know what I mean? Like, let's say they add Eugenio Suarez at third. So that takes Durbin out of the equation. I still don't know that the collection of Ortiz, Turang, Frelick, this version, broken-handed Contreras, I still don't think the rest is good enough, but it puts them in a spot again where they're not going to be a favorite, but they could get hot and muck up some other guy's season, or just, wild things have happened with this pitching staff and bullpen. You could go on a run, but I don't think they're going to be able to make any additions or any moves where it's like, oh, now they're on equal footing, which I don't think is what you're asking, but that's kind of my take.
Yeah, like you're not going to get equal with the Dodgers. They're
No.
just the Dodgers. So, second, more pressing question. I am hands deep in a bowl of sunfish. They are a mixture of sunfish. I think there's green gill, which I didn't know existed, and a couple of bluegill. And what my father-in-law so kindly did after we finished a canoe fishing trip on a secret watering hole up in northern Minnesota is he roughly cleaned them, is what he said as he handed me the bag, right? And now I'm opening this in my fridge. And the heads are chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
The tails are chopped off.
They're
So
gutted,
my
I
question
assume.
to you as they're gutted for the most part. I'm cleaning up a little bit here. But what's the best way to cook a bucket of, sunfish and related fish when, you can't really fillet them because I don't really have the means to do that right now. So I'm just, do you just throw the entire thing in oil?
Are the scales
and
on there
just go with
still?
that, or
Did he descale them?
They are mostly descaled. I think it's to the point where you could probably just eat the skin that is left.
Oh, I would just batter him and fry him like that. And you pick at it with a fork a little bit. Like, you're not just going to be able to pick it up and eat the whole thing. But I just, because I assume that's how he cleaned. I believe this, what you're describing, it sounds like he cleaned them with the intent of giving them to you to cook as is. That would be my guess. That's what I would do.
All right. You just fry. I don't need to get them into fillets. And I figured there was no better sports talk radio show to call and ask this question to.
I would take the time to fillet them, but that's because I don't really know what I'm doing. I appreciate it, Vagabond John. It's easy for me to take a fillet knife. I cut out the parts that look like meat away from the things that aren't meat, fold it a little bit, run your knife along the ribs. I haven't done it in a while, but it's not spine surgery. You can cook bluegill like that. That's how I would cook trout. I wouldn't cook other fish like that, where you just cut it, lips to butthole, scoop everything out, cut off the head, cut off the tail, and then just cook it whole. Because a trout is long, so then you're going to be able to take a fork and flake it all off. And some people might be a little bit weirded out by that, but if you're weirded out by that, okay, that's a you thing then. Like, you're eating fish that you caught. It sounds like what you're describing with the headless, tailless, finless, scaleless, gutless, just put it in some panko or some shore lunch. Just go to Fleet Farm and buy a pack and whip it up. That's what I would do. If you want to continue to fillet it more, fine, but I would just rather take the extra 2 seconds when I'm eating it to pick it off with a fork than go and fillet every fish further. I'm not going to do that. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is John in Cornell.
Hey, John. What's good? Do you have you're up in Cornell. Do you have a take on the bluegill, or you can pass on this? I'll leave it open though if you want to add something.
I'm gonna pass because I'm not much of a fisherman.
That's
so.
okay. That's okay. That's more than fine.
I was actually calling not to talk about the Brewers, but I was going to comment that yes, the corn dip from Costco is killer. I think it's called street corn dip, and it's got a little spice to it. That stuff is the best.
How do you eat it? Just with chips, cold?
Just with chips, hot is best.
Hot is best. So you warm it up like what, in a little ramekin?
You warm it up in a crock pot on your stove is really good. Their artichoke dip is really good.
Have you ever had I can feel it going straight to my hips. And I say that on you ever had the brisket dip?
No, I have not.
It's the texture and the nutritional value feels like you're eating from the drip pan of a George Foreman grill. But it is delicious. Put it on club crackers or Ritz. Or you can eat it with tortilla chips too, but I find it to be better with crackers. But I don't even want to look at the nutrition facts. I don't even want to look because I know.
No, but the corn dip is corn dip. I think it's called street corn dip, and it's got a little spice to it, and you find it in. It's got the reddish lid on there. That thing's killer. You should try the artichoke dip. I would recommend that. That's really good.
What
Costco
do you go to for? There's not one in Is there one in Eau Claire?
The one is in Eau Claire. Yes, one came in Eau Claire in the fall of 23.
Okay, so it's somewhat recent. I feel a little bit less bad about not knowing that then. Okay.
No, yeah, it is fairly recent. We go there pretty often. So
Well,
yeah,
but there's always been
anyhow,
there's always been a Sam's Club in Eau Claire, like for as long as I can remember. Is that still there?
Sam's doesn't compare to Costco.
I'm not saying it compares. I'm just saying that was the bulk option that I was familiar with growing up. I knew that was there.
Yes, you're correct. Yes, you're correct. That's all I gotta say. God bless, man.
God bless, bless you, John. The corn dip is really good. The brisket dip is excellent. Artichoke dip. It's not that I don't like artichoke dip. Do you ever have a food where it's like, I don't dislike it and I'll eat it, but I'm not really gonna enjoy it. It feels a little bit like a chore. Artichoke dip for me, spinach artichoke dip, depending on where it's from and how it's made, like I can enjoy it, but it's far from my favorite thing. That brisket dip from Costco is ridiculous. I don't even think that goes to your stomach. I think it goes right to your arteries. It's like cream cheese and then other cheese and brisket drippings. Like it's just take the George Foreman, the pan underneath that it drips. By the way, my roommate in college had a George Foreman grill, and that drip pan, he just never changed it. It just sat there, congealing. And it didn't smell. Maybe it smelled. You know, you get used to your environment. Like maybe our college house smelled like ass. Probably did. Didn't bother me because I was used to the smell of ass. But just sit there. And be like, would you clean your George Foreman grill? And then he'd go, ugh, and then he'd make a whole, there's always a whole deal. Nutritionally, that's what you'll get from that brisket dip. But it is delicious. I didn't realize, I guess I knew there was a Costco in Eau Claire. There's one in Sun Prairie. I have a friend in La Crosse. He told me a couple weeks ago. It's like, yeah, we went to Costco on Sunday. I'm like, wait, did they open one in Onalaska? They drive to Rochester for corn dip. Well, not, I assume for corn dip, probably other things too. I would drive the whole way for corn dip and feel like an a-hole because of it. I think this person was probably, buying food for their family. Let's take one more call here and then we'll come back, talk a little bit more about the Brewers. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Secondhand Smoke John here.
Secondhand Smoke John. Howdy.
I was just up in Barron County last week and kind of taking some stuff in. Love it up there, the old Northwood.
I was in Dunn County this weekend, but I didn't venture any farther to Barron County. I wish I would have.
My mom lives in, or she has a cabin up in Serona.
Oh.
You familiar?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's just where it starts to get good.
Well, yeah, but you're not going too far. Still a 3.5 hour drive. It's nice and simple. Couple days, came right back, went to work. Worked at the bar. But did I catch the tail end of you complaining about Instacart guy?
Why do we need everything in the world delivered now? It's just a little, I don't know why it's a pet peeve of mine.
People are lazy. They don't do anything for themselves. But with that being said, my hot take right now, why does everybody have to go to Costco for everything? Everyone's a Costco guy. Oh, I got this from Costco. Street corn dip, just make it yourself. It's sour cream and corn and crap.
So that is true.
That Instacart guy is Costco guy. And what are we doing here?
They're different sides of the same coin. Is that what you're saying?
I just don't get it.
Look, if you got a big family.
Everybody ram up their own stuff. So, but now we have to go buy everything from Costco, or like everything has to be delivered. Whatever happened to doing things yourself?
What, just like going to Walmart? Is that what you mean?
Well, sometimes you need a pair of jorts for $8.
I like Walmart. I still am a Walmart supporter. I think they run a great business. Sometimes though, I want the treats that are only available at Costco and the samples.
Well, and Vagabond John should be going to Walmart and getting an $8 paring knife to get those fillets off the skin right now.
You don't think you've never filleted bluegills like that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. That's why I asked. I didn't know.
Sometimes you gotta live off the land. You gotta grow your own cilantro and stuff like that. But to go get a street corn dip, it's like, oh my goodness gracious.
You are right. And that Costco is not something. Secondhand Smoke John, that's a great call. I appreciate it. It's not something that everyone should need to have. Like, no one needs 600 K-cups of coffee at once. Now, I don't want to buy a package of 6, so a package of 60. Maybe we don't need Costco for that. I am less interested in the sheer mass and quantity of things. Although, I tell you what, I got some produce at Costco a couple weeks ago. Really good. It can be hit or miss. I got some strawberries. Wow. Excellent. It's secondhand smoked John, I would imagine, being in Serona. What is that? Long Lake, Shell Lake up there. The town of Shell Lake, but also the lake of Shell Lake. You probably caught some bluegills up there yourself. There's multiple ways to skin a fish. Bluegill, most specifically. Come back. Some final Brewers thoughts, and then we'll get to the Monday mailbag. GrantBills21@gmail.com. That will be the final segment of the show, so get your thoughts in before we get there.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Murph, Joey's been out of the lineup back-to-back days now. Is there something that he's dealing with?
Yeah, the manager's pissed. You know what I mean? I want him to give me his best approach at the plate, and we've given him a lot, and we play him every day, and we need him. And he can't just have lapses at the plate like that, So he's got to fight through that.
Was it related at all to, it just seemed like he took a lot of pitches in Miami? Is that part of it?
Yeah, his swing decisions have been the worst it's been, and he's swinging the bat way better, but his swing decisions now, and then so all that mental stuff, though, sit and think about it.
So there you go, Mike Clemens, Johnny on the spot with the audio. Yeah, I'm pissed at him. That's why he's not in the lineup. Oh, okay, all right. Expand, please, on that. If you have any final Brewers thoughts, or God, we got 3 callers on hold, and I feel like at least 1 or 2 of these is going to be some Costco commentary, which is fine. There's nothing going on this time of the summer. This is the time to do it. So 3 of you on hold. I promise I'll get to you all before we get to the last break of the show on the Monday mailbag here. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's Jeremy in Eau Claire. How are you?
Jeremy, I'm good. How about you?
Good. Did you have a good weekend?
I had an excellent weekend. I was up in your neck of the woods. It was it was a beautiful Friday. Saturday kind of sucked, but then it got nice Saturday night, so it was nice.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Yeah, sorry you missed out on the Costco that we have here.
I feel like I'm behind. It's embarrassing.
I know, right? No, so I just wanted to jump in on the I'm actually pretty happy with how Murph is handling this whole thing. I was not aware. I'm glad I tuned into the show today because I was not aware that he was benched today. But now that you told me that, I'm happy about it, actually, because I'm kind of like, there's been a lot of talk lately. I know Jeff Passan, I brought it up last week. I didn't mention him, but yeah, I know he had mentioned a proposal getting rid of Durbin and bringing in a third baseman for a bat. And I agree with everybody's take that we need a bat. A good bat would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't really see getting rid of Durbin because honestly, the way Durbin's been playing the last couple of months, I think he's an improvement at third over what Ortiz gave us last year.
Certainly in the second half. After he hurt his neck and then just decided that they weren't going to get that fixed. He was just going to play through it and stand sideways.
Right.
For some reason.
Right. Well, and then when they made the decision to get rid of Adames in the offseason, which I think was a kind of a big mistake there because his contract wasn't that huge that he signed with San Francisco. I think that would have been maybe doable. But at any rate, the Brewers decided to move on from that. And I said it from the get-go. I'm like, they're going to slide Ortiz over, and it's not going to work well. And Ortiz has been playing about how he played at third, and he's hitting about as well as he did at third, if not worse.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing. I'm like, if we improved at third, if there was one move, like just one position that we maybe could improve on, wouldn't it be shortstop?
Yeah, I know offensively, and it comes down to Jeremy and I'm up against it. My problem is like, okay, so if you take Durbin out of the lineup or you take Ortiz out of the lineup, like, does that impact how you view those guys long term? It's like, hey, we're just going to rent Suarez for a season and Durbin, you'll be back in opening day lineup next year. Like, that's a little tricky. I don't know. Ortiz has been very good over the last month, and if he comes back off of this little bench absence and sucks, Murphy's, I think, going to hear it a little bit for messing up his flow. Durbin's been fine, but this remains my problem. You need more power. Where's the power coming from? You can't have a slap hitter at third, short, second, right, and then also whatever at first. Like, okay, if your first baseman's hitting 30 tanks a year, if it's Pete Alonso, fine, but they don't have that either. Where's the power going to come from? But also, you like Frelick, Durbin, Ortiz, Do you see the point? 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Coyote Mike. I'm on my bike.
Hi. Well, bike safely. What's on your mind?
Oh, I am. Well, Bobby Flay would be proud of you, Grant. You know, with your all the fish recipes and stuff like that.
I told him to just.
John.
I told him to just throw him in the pot. That's hardly a recipe.
Well, Vagabond John, he could just take some varsity ale, throw some flour in it, and fry them up that way.
Yeah, that actually.
We used to eat the tails too when we were kids.
Well, they're crispy.
Go fast because they know. Yeah, and then I think Costco's over. It's a good place, but it's. You know, I try to avoid going there. And then Brewers, I was more vastly disappointed in their performance those first 6 or 7 weeks.
Sure.
And I think now they're playing the way they should have been playing.
This is the real Brewers team. The first month was a mirage and probably shouldn't have set our agendas the way that it did. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. And then Pat Murphy, I like, you know, if he's got issues with the players, you know, let him know.
I would imagine that he told Joey Ortiz this before telling everybody else. Coyote Mike, I'm sorry, I'm just late because we got a loaded Monday mailbag. I don't think there's a disconnect between those two. I think he's probably well aware. One more call. Take us home. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Badger Bloody Reviews.
Hey, Badger Bloody.
Grant?
Not much. What's going on?
Give me 90 seconds. I got a cape for Costco and grocery delivery here.
Go ahead.
First of all, Costco. I will not stand for Costco slander. Yes, the idea of bulk big box items is a little bit ridiculous to some. I understand if you don't go and buy massive packages of everything. I'm just going to say, as a guy who lives by himself, just paper products and Diet Coke alone is paying for my membership in a year.
Yeah.
Paper towel, toilet paper, Diet Coke, that's all I need. And if I find some tasty snacks or discount liquor while I'm in there, even better. Second of all, grocery delivery. I'm with you. I thought that was the most ridiculous concept when I first heard about it. I was like, why don't people just walk their lazy selves into the store and shop like normal people?
Yep.
And then a buddy of mine said, Badger Buddy, you got to think about this differently. I'm saving money getting my groceries delivered. I said, that can't be right. How's that possible? Explain yourself. He said, listen to me. Every time I go into the store, I see end caps. I see deals. I'm grabbing all kinds of snacks and crap that I don't need. If you order online, you're only ordering what you plan on ordering. You're not getting got by any of the little advertisements or the deals or your kids screaming and yanking on your shirt or whatever it is. So it's counterintuitive as it sounds. You might actually save money getting your groceries delivered, especially if it's free with a minimum purchase.
So if you are a knowledgeable shopper, you know exactly what you need. I understand that. Appreciate the call, Badge Buddy. I, as a shopper, I am like a jazz musician. I have a basic concept of what I need, but I like to explore the space. And yeah, the store is hell. Don't go on Sundays. Go before work. Go at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. That's when I go. It's a privilege. Maybe I'll even drink my little coffee as I go through. It's quiet. No one's annoying. I can get in and out. So I'm out on the idea of grocery delivery, except for the elderly and the infirm. And I'm sure there are examples, but like people just, my issue is like, let's get it for pickup or delivery just because. It's like, why do you have to do that? And I think that was secondhand Smoke John's point. He was like, does everyone need a Costco membership? No. But I like it. I need my corn dip and my chicken strips, my ice cream bars. I'm a child. The Monday mailbag. Speaking of being children, I'll answer all of your mature, pertinent questions next to wrap up the show.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
The Monday Mailbag, made possible by your questions. I will answer them. I'm to the point now. There's nothing going on this summer. There don't need to be questions. Just send me whatever you want. Grantbills21 at gmail.com. The first question. This is a me thing, most likely. Your show lead-in voice says your name 2 different ways. He says Bills and also Bills with a hard S. What's the correct way to pronounce it? Appreciate it. That is, who the hell is this from? John and Racine. That's what I thought. It's Bills. Succinct. I don't know how the big name guy says it. He's close enough. I'm not going to call him on the phone and be like, no, it's like the... If I was more famous, then maybe. But no, it's not Bills. Piss off my grandma, if you say it that way. Tyler says, are you in or out on seeing the Savannah Bananas in person? I would see them, but they would need to be like next door to my house. Not anti at all. Looks fun. It's just my favorite band in the world could be playing on the other side of town. And if it's Tuesday night, I'd be like, pain in the butt with work. Blake emails in and says, have you ever seen this clip of Mr. Ed when a horse hits a homer off Sandy Koufax? Yes, I have seen that. Thank you for that's top of mind. Appreciate it, Blake. Brandon has a question that I will answer off the air. It's more of a business inquiry. I will direct him to my manager, who's me, but I'm not going to do that on the air. Andrew says, great show. You're a true professional. That's not true at all. I'll be flying to England this evening, so I'll miss the Brewers game this week. However, I'm excited to travel across the pond because I'm going to see Oasis. Despite there being over 50 million people worldwide sitting in Ticketmaster's queue, I was able to get tickets to my all-time favorite band in their hometown of Manchester, England. Being a guitar-playing music connoisseur, none of that's true. Do you know any Oasis tunes outside of Wonderwall? Very little. He also asked, what was your favorite concert you've been to? Probably Billy Currington 2 weekends ago. Not the biggest name, not the most like difficult ticket. I saw Bob Weir and John Mayer in a crowd of like 200 people in Paradise Valley, Montana. So that's probably like pound for pound my coolest concert. But I sang my ass off at Billy Currington and had an absolute blast. I like Champagne Supernova, but that's a hit. The videos from those concerts over the weekend looked unbelievable. That's going to be really cool. So you'll have to get back and Please tell us how that is. Tom is asking for a take about Andrew Vaughn. I know nothing other than he's a former 3rd overall pick, which means he's probably not very good. Scott says, what Jimmy Buffett song would describe the Brewers season thus far? Did you fish at all when you're visiting your parents? I did not. Scooter in Eau Claire. Jimmy Buffett song that describes the season: vampires, mummies, and the Holy Ghost. Just because it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but it works. Just like that song. Tony says, bigger case, this is Tony in Texas, bigger case of elder abuse. Ozzy being wheeled out for his last show or 4 years of Joe Biden? Ozzy's performed his whole life. And then I guess you could argue, well, Biden's been a politician his whole life. Okay, sure. That's not elder abuse, dude. Ozzy's being Ozzy. I don't think the Biden thing was elder abuse either. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about this, Tony. We appreciate it, though. Rob says, as one fellow cross-country runner to another, I ran a 20:35 5K as my best time, got 25th out of 27th runners. If we looked at high school cross-country, what conference would you say that would be in Wisconsin, and why? Well, 27, was it the varsity race? I assume it was a varsity race, 27 runners. I don't know. What conference is DeSoto cashed in? That would probably be my guess. I know you're a lacrosse listener. It can't be the MVC. It's not enough runners. So whatever conference DeSoto, Cashton, Viola, Genoa, etc., that portion of the state, wherever that is. Is there any that I missed? David in Louisiana said, what are your thoughts on the chain of lakes? Any recommendations up in Eagle River? I'll give you 2 spots. I've only been there once. I remember going to the Marina Bar, which I think is pretty well known. That was a cool spot. That was very fun. And I remember going to Braywood Resort. Very fun. I'm far from an expert on Eagle River, but I did go there once, and those are 2 places that I can give you. It was a good time. I like the divier bars. Sometimes you get up, like, you go up by Nisswa or Brainerd, and it's like rich, like, dance club bars on a lake. It's like, man, I kind of want there to be a disgusting, like, mounted fish on the wall that hasn't been dusted in 30 years, and like an old beer logo that's slightly offensive, but it's kind of grandfathered in. Like, that's what I'm looking for. And you can get that in Eagle River. Braywood and Marina Bar. My 2. Enjoy the Brewers tonight. Maybe Joey Ortiz will get a pinch hit. We'll see. I'll be back tomorrow at 4. Talk to you then.